Welcome dear student for HSC online lecture initiative taken by Shet Vidya Mandir English High School and Junior College of Science and Commerce. I am Miss Ragini Singh, Assistant Lecturer of Biology, and today we are continuing with our chapter Molecular Basis of Inheritance, and this is second module of this chapter. So before I proceed, I request you all to be seated with the book, pen and pencil, and let's recap what we studied in the last module. In the last module, we studied about the central dogma, that is nothing but the central principle of formation of the protein. The double-stranded DNA molecule give rise to mRNA, which acts as messenger to program the synthesis of a polypeptide chain, that is the protein. This type of unidirectional flow of information, that is from DNA to RNA to proteins, is referred to as central dogma, and it was postulated by Francis Crick in 1958. DNA to mRNA is called as transcription, and this takes place in nucleus, whereas mRNA to polypeptide, that is the protein synthesis, is called translation, and this takes place in cytoplasm. There were another group of scientists, that is the Temin and Baltimore. In 1970, they gave a central dogma with respect to the virus. That is, DNA gets converted into mRNA, and this mRNA should be getting converted to polypeptide. But with respect to this reverse transcription, the mRNA do not get translated into this protein. Instead, mRNA is again sent back to, or again message has been transcribed to DNA, and this process is called as reverse transcription, or you can say it is also called as the formation of the complementary DNA. Very important mechanism, and that's why the viruses are so powerful, because they are actually ruling on our own DNA itself. Now when you talk about this next presentation, this is with respect to the translation. In the last module we studied about the transcription. In this module we will study about the translation. Now what is there in this translation is that, if you see, this is the newly synthesized mRNA. This is the newly synthesized mRNA. On this mRNA you can see the codons, that is the G, C, U, G, A, C. As we have already studied that thymine is replaced by the uracil. Now on this mRNA there is the smaller subunit present and the larger subunit also present. Once the smaller and larger subunit sits, then this larger subunit has three sides: A side, P side and E side. A side, P side and E side. A is for the amino acylation, P is for the formation of peptide bond, and E is for the exit side. This is the tRNA which is actually sitting on the A side. Now this tRNA has this part called as anticodon, and this is the codon. The downward is the codon, and tRNA will be reading this codon, that is, it is going to translate into the anticodon, and a particular amino acid is going to sit on this tRNA. When a particular amino acid sits on the tRNA, that is called as the charging of tRNA. Once it has been sit over here, then this will actually shift to the P side, and another tRNA will be waiting to enter the A side. And once this shift take place and this entire amino acids comes and jumps over here, and the bond that is formed is called as the peptide bond. Bond that is formed is basically the peptide bond, and then they finally go to the E side. So this is A side, P side and basically the E side. And this continue to go on till the time the complete chain of amino acid is formed. If you look at this image, at this one, here you can see this is the ribosome unit. This red color portion is the mRNA. Here this is the all the nucleotide which has been sitting. So that was basically the formation of this, you can say the transcription. And after once this transcription is done, there is the formation of this translation. At the end you get a complete chain of the amino acids. This is amino acid 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and continues. It depends on the requirement of the body, but for that ribosome is very, very important. So this is all about the translation. See, in detail, if we study about this, we'll start with the basic step, that is the A part, B part and C part. This is the newly synthesized mRNA which we got actually from the transcription. Initially, the smaller subunit of ribosomes comes in set. So if it is prokaryote, then the ribosome unit total it is 70S. But if it is eukaryote, then it is 80S. This we have studied in 11th standard. So this is the mRNA, this is smaller subunit of ribosome, this is the initiator and this is the amino acid. Next will be the larger subunit comes and sit over here, and here you can see this is the A site, P site and E site. Now when the first tRNA, that is the charged tRNA, enters this ribosomal unit, it does not need to wait on A site because P site is already empty. So it directly sits on the P site, and once it is sitting on the P site, another tRNA comes and sits on the A site. And what happens if you look over here, this amino acid, it's coming and it is shifting on this new tRNA like this. So there is a formation of this complete chain of amino acid, and finally this will shift over here. This is the peptide link and this is the peptide bond. This process goes on continuously, and if you can see, these are the chain of the amino acids which is linked by the peptide bond. And finally there is from E site it has been exit out, and once it gets the stop signal, everything dissociate. That is mRNA is released, tRNA is released and ribosome and a newly synthesized polypeptide chain is released. This one. So this is the complete transcription which is taking place for the formation of the polypeptide. I hope this part is clear to you all and very important from the exam point of view. Let's talk something about the genetic code. This genetic code is very important, and it was given by one of the Indian scientists, that is Hargobind Khurana. Let's understand how this genetic code works, what is the characteristics and what is the easy way to remember this genetic code. See, this is the genetic code, that is if you're talking about the mRNA, or if you're talking about in general the RNA, there are 4 codes, that is A, G, C and U. Fine. So how we are going to write? Remember, this is the first position, this is the second position and this is the third position. So in that you will write down U, C, A, G continuously, U, C, A, G. Similarly here also you will write U, C, A, G, U, C, A, G, and here in the third letter you will write all these 4 points continuously, U, C, A, G, U, C, A, G, U, C, A, G, U, C, A, G. Now let's see how to remember it. It's very simple. The first letter in this box you have U. So at a stretch you write down U, U, U and U. Second letter is again U. So write down U, U, U and U. Third letter is U, C, A, G. So just paste it like that. U, C, A, G. Come to the second box. The first letter is U. So write down U, 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 U. Second letter is C. So write down C, 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 C. And third is U, C, A, G. So just paste it U, C, A, G. And the third box you write down U. The first letter is U, so write down U, 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 U. In the second box it is A, so write down A. And the third position write down U, C, A, G, that is U, C, A, G. At the fourth position, again the first letter is U, so write down U, 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 U. Second letter it is G, 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 G. At the third box it is U, C, A, G, so write down U, C, A, G. Similarly you will fill for the next one. In the second box, if you see, the first letter is C, so write down C, 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 C. Second alphabet is U, 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 U. And in third it is U, C, A, G, so write down U, C, A, G. Similarly, if I use some highlighter and if I teach you, see, at in the second box if I talk, the first letter is C. So I am highlighting it with the yellow color, write down C, C, C and C. Now if you talk about the second letter, here it is C. So again you will write down C, C, C and C. Now if you talk about the third place, U, C, A, G. So write down U C A G. Fine. So this is, you will complete the third box, fourth box. Similarly, you will write down this third as well as the fourth. So first letter, second letter and the third letter. Now if you talk about, these are written in the 3 alphabets, that is here also 3, everywhere you can see is the 3. So total number of codons is the nothing but it is 64, and each codon is actually coding for a particular amino acids. The total amino acid that is there, are total 20 amino acids, and this 64 codons are actually coding for this 20 amino acids. Now the question arises, why it is in the case of 4, like in the case of 3, why 3, why not 4 or why not 2? So if you, and why they have been written it 4 times. So if you consider only for one time, there will be only 4 codons, it will not be specific for coding 20 amino acids. So if you talk about, if it is written twice, it's only 16 codon, again not sufficient for 20 amino acids. Now this is counted as 3. So what is the score here? 4 into 4 into 4, that is 4 4s are 16 and 16 4s are 64. So total you are getting 64 codons. So these are the total entirely 64 codons, and they are sufficient for the 20 amino acid. That's the reason neither this has been considered, neither this, only the this, that is it is in the triplet form. The codons are actually in the triplet forms and not as a one or not as a 2. So this is the important genetic code which is actually very much universally accepted, and you need to remember, mostly you can say the start codon, that is the AUG, that is methionine, and the stop codons. The stop codon, if you actually see, it is over here, UAA, UAG, and one more, that is the UGA. So these 3 are the stop codon, which is actually not coding for any amino acids, and AUG is the initial codon. Whereas you talk about this is phenylalanine, and everywhere the abbreviation is used, phenylalanine. So it is written as phe, leucine, isoleucine, methionine, valine, serine, proline, threonine, alanine, tyrosine, histidine, glycine, lysine, aspartic acid, and so on. So very important that we represent is the genetic code. Let's understand more about this genetic code. Now there are important characteristics of genetic code. The very first characteristics of genetic code is they are always read in the triplet. See, if I write the genetic code like this, U A C G A U U A, this is the genetic code. Now if you talk, they are in triplet, this first 3, this 3, and if I write over here this 3, it is always readed like that. They are comma-less, there is no comma to differentiate. I did not put any comma over here, they are actually the comma-less. They are non-overlapping. You will not see that anything A is overlapping with C, or G is overlapping with some other alphabets or nothing. They are the coding dictionary. Now there is something called as the degenerate code and non-ambiguous code. Now what is this? Let's understand with the table. So if you talk over here, you can see that you have the 64 codons, but there are only 20 amino acids. It means UUU is coding for phenylalanine, but this UUU is not coding for any other amino acids. It means you have many codons, but amino acids are only 20. So one amino acids can be coded by many other codons, but one codon will be only coding for one particular acid, one particular amino acid, and not for other. So like in here, if you see the phenylalanine, we'll understand it other way. Phenylalanine is an amino acid. It is one of the amino acid from 20, and it is coded by UUU. Similarly, it is also coded by UUC. But nowhere you will see that this UUC is coding for any other amino acids. Like you take the example of this CUU, coding for leucine, CUC again coding for leucine, CUA again coding for leucine, and CUG again coding for leucine. It means your leucine amino acid is coded by the 4 different amino acids. But CUU is only coding for leucine. You will not find CUU coding for any other amino acids. This is the character when we talk about the degenerate and non-ambiguous. Chain initiation codon, the amino acid AUG, it is considered to be the start codon, that is the initiation, and chain termination codons that we already talked, UAA, UAG and UGA. So these are the important genetic code, and this important genetic code, there is one more hypothesis given by the scientist, that is the Wobble hypothesis. Now what does this Wobble hypothesis says? That suppose consider I am having one codon AUG. Suppose this is there. Now A will be pairing with U will be pairing with A, and G has to pair with C, but instead of pairing with C, it is pairing with G. It means this last part is not correct, but still it has been seen ki if first two pairing is right, it will bring the correct amino acid, that is methionine, even if the last pairing is wrong. One more important characteristic of genetic code is that it is universal. Always remember, it is universal. That is right from the small organism till the largest, it is accepted except for mycoplasma. Mycoplasma are the bacteria without cell wall. That's why they are also called as the joker of the microorganism kingdom. So they are universally accepted. Now let us understand something more about the operon. Now when you talk about the operon is nothing but it is a cluster of genes. Now when you talk about this operon, it is present in organism, and today we are talking about this E. coli, that is Escherichia coli. We will be talking about two cases. One is when inducer is absent, and second when inducer is present. So this is the template DNA strand. What is this? This is the template DNA strand. On this template DNA strand, you have regulatory gene. Fine. These are the structural genes. This is the regulatory gene which consists of operator and promoter. This is the structural genes. Now what happens basically, if you see, this regulatory gene is going to transcribe. So in case 1, I am considering that lactose, which is a milk sugar, lactose is absent. Lactose is absent, that is the inducer is absent. Now when this inducer is absent and lactose is a disaccharide, it has to be broken down into simple sugar, that is you can say glucose and galactose. But when this lactose is absent, this transcription and translation should be given a stop signal. This regulatory gene will do its role, it will transcribe, and finally the transcription, it will lead to translation resulting into the synthesis of protein, but it has to be given a stop signal. So what happened when this regulatory gene is transcribing and translating, it is actually translating a repressor gene. This repressor gene goes and sits on the operator region. This repressor gene goes and sits on this operator region. It means the operator is blocked. Once this goes and sit, it means RNA polymerase will not be able to sit over here, and once the enzyme polymerase is not being able to sit over here, structural genes will not get activated. Structural genes will not get activated. It means there are 3 types of structural genes: Z, Y and A. This gene Z codes for, you can say, the enzyme beta galactosidase, Y codes for permease, and A for the acetylation. This Z, that is the beta galactosidase, will break down the lactose into simple sugar. Y will give the entry, that is the permeation, and this A will only act as an acylation of the amino acid. So once lactose is absent, the repressor has to be initiated and has to be set on this operator region, and once the operator is blocked, polymerase cannot sit, and these 3 structural genes transcription will not take place, and once there is no mRNA, there is no protein synthesis. So here it is, the main work is done by the inducer. Your second is when the inducer is present, that is when the lactose is present. Now when the lactose is present, there should be a negative signal to this repressor key to stop Otherwise, this synthesis of the Z, Y and A genes will not take place. So on this regulatory gene, transcription will take place, translation will take place, and the repressor is going to be produced. Now this repressor is going to be bind by this lactose itself, and this lactose is in the form of allolactose. Once this is bind to this is not going to sit on this operator region, and once it is not going to sit on the operator region, who will come and sit here? There will be the adjustment of the repressor protein. And once the repressor protein is been seated over here, there is Z, Y and A genes which is actually going to activate, and transcription will take place and translation, and there will be formation of the proteins, that is enzymes to metabolize the lactose. And this is how the operon concept work, that is on the presence of the inducer. There is one amino acid, that is the tryptophan, in which the inducer is not been acting only. It is not working on the inducer, it is on the absence of the inducer. I hope this operon concept is very clear to you all. Now let's see how much you have understood. Yeah. Which of the following is not a part of protein synthesis? It's option A. Replication is not the part of protein synthesis. In RNA molecule, which nitrogen is found in place of thymine? And option is D, that is uracil. How many codons are needed to specify 3 amino acids? There are 3 codons. Which of the following is not an example of inducible operon? That is the tryptophan operon. Now let's take down your assignment. Enlist the characteristics of genetic code. Explain the role of lactose in lac-operon. You can expect this answer for 3 marks or 4 marks. And these are all the short answers. You can expect it for 1 mark. What is the function of RNA primer during protein synthesis? Why is genetic code considered as commalase? What is genome? This we have even studied in the inheritance chapter. Which enzyme removes supercoils from replicating DNA? Why are Okazaki fragments formed on lagging strand only? Very interesting question, and we have discussed this. And when does DNA replication takes place? You are supposed to define the term codon and codogen. What is degeneracy of genetic code, and which are the nucleosomal core histone proteins? That is, you will refer the nucleosome structure. Very important questions. Please do solve and write the answers. We will refer your 12th standard textbook for this. I hope this module was very clear to you all. Most of the important things have been included in this module. Please refer to it. Write down your notes and solve these MCQs as well as assignment. Thank you so much for attending this module. We'll again come back with the next module. Thank you.